This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, episode 52.
The worst thing that could happen happened. I made $3,100 in an hour.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host, who loves to split wood for fun, ClayTrader.
So for any of you out there that maybe have like lumberjack gear that you're looking to get rid of, or that maybe you're looking to sell, I prefer you just send it to me, but maybe I'll pay you for it, because yes, I love to just split wood, chop wood, whatever you want to call it. I don't know why. I find it kind of relaxing. It's a good workout. Maybe it makes me feel more like a man, but yeah, it's definitely, I don't do it that much, but luckily a lot of people I know have wood burners. You know, I do live out in the country, so my in-laws, for example, they burn a lot of wood during the winter. So I always have a place where I can go and split wood. My brother-in-law, that's, I think, all they use for heat. I might be wrong there, but they split a lot of wood. So yeah, it's a good little outlet. And I don't know, maybe I have no scientific data, but I feel like for a trader that it's kind of a good outlet of maybe steam and just to keep it even keeled. So Ches, and what's funny, we were talking is Ches never knows what these clues are or what these little fun facts are. So he's totally got to think on his toes, because I don't tell him what I'm going to talk about, because that wouldn't be as fun. He's got to be able to be quick on his toes. So, Ches, do you cut wood or split wood? Let me ask, have you ever, and what are your thoughts on it? Do you enjoy it?
So Clay is lying. All podcasts are all scripted. We have them word for word typed out by Nate, and everything is already done with the guests. No, I'm just kidding. So
this is true. Yeah, the guest, included.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I actually had this conversation earlier this week with somebody that one thing I missed from living in the Midwest was having one, bonfires, and two, having a fireplace, because I have neither of those. And now being in California, where everything goes up in flames if like a spark hits anything, bonfires and fires in general are just a big no-no. But yeah, I used to whenever tree or branches and stuff would fall off of our tree back home, me and my dad would go out there with a saw or a chainsaw and chop them up, and we'd have bonfires probably at least once or twice a week. So
now, did you ever use an axe though to split them, or is it always just chainsaw?
I did. So that was something that my dad kind of taught me when I was like a kid. But we had to use chainsaws obviously on the big ones, but otherwise no, we had the little hatchet, and then we had the axe.
Yeah, I don't know how well he was at teaching you, considering you walk around on two wooden legs. But I mean.
Next time,
that was bad.
Good.
I don't know. Maybe we'll have Nate cut that out. I don't know, but that was a pretty bad. No, Nate,
we'll leave it in just to show your cheesiness.
Just to show how you got to swing. You don't know if you're going to hit the ball unless you swing it, but sometimes you miss, and I missed right there.
3 strikes, you're out of there.
Yeah, I think we're well past 3 strikes. But anyways, well, today we have I'm actually more excited for it than what I was. Not that I was never excited in the first place. But the reason is our guest, Dave, he goes by TracknPennies in the chat room, but he's one of the original 300 that signed up for the chat room way back when I started it. And I was making the comment before he got started, he's been around a while, but I'd be lying if I actually remember that he's been around since literally the beginning. So he's been through a lot. He's seen, ClayTrader.com from when I first started it all the way to where it is now. So it was cool to talk with somebody that's been around that long. We've interviewed a lot of guests. I mean, we're on episode 52 now, but not that many of them have been, from the original 300. And I always remember original 300 because when I first started, it was $99 for lifetime membership. And then that was just kind of, I don't even know if people are going to sign up. And then when things started to catch on, I thought, hey, okay, well, people are actually interested. So I said, you know what? As soon as I get to 300 people, then it's going to be $99 per year. But he was actually one of those first 300, so that's why we kind of refer to him as the original 300. They were the ones that really took advantage and took a big leap of faith, because I had just started up the site. So, all right, Nate is our behind the scenes producer. He just sent me a message on Skype. Dave was actually member number 47, so he was literally the 47th person to join the site. So somebody that's not only in the top 300 but the top 50. But he is one of those. It's a great interview. I'm trying to think, do I want to give much away? But boy, oh boy, was Dave greedy. And he's totally open about it. He's totally transparent about it. And it's, something where I'm totally confident and positive that you'll take away at least a few things to learn from. So with that, let's hop right in and start talking with Dave. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
Now, you are from Baltimore, and you are now the, I think, second person from Baltimore we have now interviewed. So, Ches, we've been doing enough interviews now. We're starting to get some overlap amongst cities. So, I can tell we've been at this for a while now.
Yeah, we've definitely been at it. And I know we got some new members from Melbourne and also from a lot of international places. So I guess I'm gonna have to start looking around the world to find new members. We're definitely overlapping in the U.S. now.
We got some people in Australia. We're gonna have to get one of those, one of them on, so we can just listen to that accent the whole time. But
Well,
I don't know. Maybe
after
Dave
the other
can,
podcast we released where you tried to do the accent, I don't know. They might
but
all
I have a
decline now.
solution. Look, so Dave. How about you talk in an Australian accent for this entire interview? That way, Ches and I can get our fix. Are you up for that?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, Ches, we had to at least ask. I mean, because
Yeah,
for all
good
we
effort.
know, Dave has been withholding from us this whole time a fantastic Australian impersonation, but I guess that's not the case. So,
Not hardly. I can barely speak in American or Baltimoreese.
well, we'll keep it in as basic English as. Hey, I can relate. I can barely speak English to begin with, so Ches can definitely attest to that. Well, again, in all seriousness, thank you for taking some time out of your day. But and we were talking to Dave beforehand. He said he's listened to every episode, so he kind of knows what's coming his way, and he knows where we always kick this off. So let's start right back at the beginning, Dave. What got you interested in the markets? Kind of where were you at in that part of life, and then what kind of made you finally decide, you know what? I now know what the market is, but I actually want to take some action. So let's just start right at the beginning.
Right. I guess from the beginning, the first time I got introduced into the markets was actually in high school. And I think somebody else on one of the other podcasts said the same thing. It was actually one of my math teachers. We had a thing we had to do for a month where we would bring in the newspaper, and that's how old I am. You had to bring in the newspaper and, look at a couple stocks, and you would have to pick a couple stocks and, just follow it throughout the month and see how it played out. And I think somebody won, whoever was, got the most trades or the biggest profit or something at the end of the month. But that was pretty much my first introduction into the stock market. And of course, in your high school, you're not really, after that class, I didn't really think about it much, but it was kind of always in the back of my mind. But life goes on, and you get jobs, and get married, and women, and all that. So that was back in 1980, I think probably 81 or 82. So I didn't really pick it back up again until I started looking into it. Until I guess the mid 90s, I started looking on the internet, and didn't really get into it, but I was just starting to try to learn a little bit about it. And then
I'm curious here, just to cut you off, because mid 90s, I mean, internet. What exactly was out there that you were looking at in the mid 90s on the internet that could help you? And this is purely curiosity, because that was, before my time. So this is just me being curious. What kind of information were you finding out there?
the only thing that I remember really looking at was, what was it? The Motley Fool or something had a site. That's the only site that I can remember. And I, was just kind of reading what those guys were talking about. I can't even remember. It's been so long ago. But, that was, I was going to say the mid to late 90s. And, I was just trying to read some things and, just trying to understand a little bit about it. And then, I'm self-employed, so my work got real busy then. So I kind of put it off for a few years. And then I'm going to say back in 2010 is when I actually took a bigger interest in it, because work started slowing up, the economy after 2008.
Now, I want to jump in here real quick though. So that's definitely probably something that differentiates you from a lot of people is that you do have, you were self-employed. So, most people go into, a more corporate type job and they have 401ks and all of that kind of already done through the company. So, I mean, it's being self-employed, you are completely responsible for kind of setting that stuff up. So you said it kind of just took you a few years to kind of redevelop an interest in that because you realized that you kind of had to take control of it yourself.
Well, it did. The biggest part is, I'm self-employed. I'm just a sole proprietor. I own a window tinting company. And, work was really good for a few years. And then, when the economy kind of took a dump, the money wasn't coming in like it had been. and a couple other reasons too. I'm getting older, so I'm not, quite as agile and as fast as I used to be. And so I had to start looking at, other sources of income. And that's when I started looking into the market. And I think in 2010, I opened up a TDA account, and I knew nothing from nothing. I didn't know anything about charts, level two. I didn't know nothing. All I know is, buy low, sell high.
I didn't know nothing from nothing. That's a great quote there.
So I'm the type of guy who just dove in head first.
Why? Just out of curiosity again. So why TD? Did they have like a commercial that caught your eye, or what actually? Because I mean, you didn't know anything. So what? I mean,
I think I was just looking online or something. TD was one of the first ones to come up. So
it was really just a matter of they had good search engine optimization. They were high in their rankings, and
right.
you just went with them. Okay, so it's not like they had any sort of sales pitch, or it was just just a matter of, hey, they popped up high on Google, therefore I'm going to go with them. So,
right.
So I mean, what was your plans at this point? I mean, what kind of stocks were you looking at that got you interested? Where some people are looking at penny stocks, and that's why they create a broker. Other people are looking at other things. What exactly were you looking at specifically that really kind of pushed you over the ledge of, I want to actually create a broker?
I actually, again, from not really knowing anything, and I didn't have a whole lot of money I wanted to put in there. So, and I think I was looking at online too, and I got hooked up into the penny stock thing. So that's actually where I started. Is unfortunately in
well, we're at in the penny stock world, like,
stop laughing, Clay. You can't just start laughing.
I know I shouldn't be laughing at guests, but oh man,
hey, I'm laughing right along with you.
Yeah, no, this is like Ches and I say. Whenever we laugh at guests, well, Ches just laughs at people because he's a cruel person. But when I'm laughing at people, it's because I can totally relate to their experience. But where exactly did you get sucked into the penny stocks? So, like, for me, it was the message boards. That's what really pulled me. And I know other people at social media. But what avenue of penny stocks really kind of suckered you in?
Yeah, for sure. It was the message boards, and the huge gains that everybody's posting, and everything's going to the moon, and everything's going to $1. So I jumped right in with that TDA account. I remember the first trade I ever made was, and this was just off of some message board thing. It was 2010, I think, March 29th. It was LYJN.
I remember that. Didn't they do jeans or something?
Yep, jeans. That's what it was.
Yeah, I do remember that one. Yep.
So of course, I didn't know anything about charts. I didn't know anything about level two. I was actually just trading off of the home page where there was.
That's so bad, man.
That's so bad. So what happens is after reading these charts, I think I might have even been into iHub by then, and all I knew was, buy on the bid and sell on the ask, and that's what people were saying. So that's what I did. I bought on the bid, and I got filled. And of course, I think I put maybe $1,000 into it, and within, I don't know, 20 minutes, I was up $500. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. This is just way too easy.
Did you start pricing out the yacht and the mansion in Beverly Hills at this point?
Not quite, but so that's the first thing that happened. Is I'm up $500. I'm like, hey, I got to go do a small job up the street. I'll be back in an hour and a half. I might be up $1,000. I don't know. So I come back, and that $500 profit turned into maybe $50 by then. And then all of a sudden it starts dumping, right? So I'm trying to sell on the ass because that's what I thought.
Yep. You're a team player, right? I mean,
exactly.
if you're a team player in the world of penny stocks, that means you only sell at the offer. So I totally get it. I mean, you're trying to, it's a team mentality. So I totally understand.
So anyway, this thing's dumping and I can't sell it. And all of a sudden I find this button that says market. So I hit market. So I sell it for $114 loss. So that was my indoctrination into the penny stock market.
So what did you, let's dig a little deeper into this one. I mean, did you take anything away from this? Like, oh man, I was kind of greedy, or, oh man, I probably shouldn't have left to go do a job. I mean, were there any lessons that you kind of learned from here, or maybe some things that you thought was a lesson that still didn't turn out to be actually that beneficial? Or, I mean, what were the takeaways? That's probably the best way to phrase this question.
Yeah, the takeaway is, you shouldn't actually leave when you have an open order and a penny stock, or you should take your profits right away. But I was so new to this, and I didn't know, again, nothing from nothing.
So
So
at the time, the takeaways were you were just so brand new that you really didn't even know how to learn from the experience that you just had encountered. Is that kind of a fair way to put it?
yeah, that's kind of fair. It's just getting my feet wet. So that was the first trade.
So your feet are wet. Let's talk
Mhm.
about, these next couple of trades.
Okay. So the next trades, and again, I'm still not using charts or anything. I think I'm just trading off of that homepage. So, so there was another one, and I don't even know. This is so long ago. I don't remember why or what. I don't even know what I was doing. But anyway, the next trade, I think I lost $40. And then the third trade
That's
I
not
made,
bad. That's actually not bad at all.
I was just
That's
no,
gonna say you're actually keeping them extremely small versus completely, having your butt handed to you there. So I'd like to commend you on that first off. But obviously, what does the trend from here look like?
so then my third trade, I made $200. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And then, I made a few more trades here and there. And then the trades, I started putting a little bit more into each trade. And then I started losing a little bit more. So come to find out, at the end of 2 months, I was down maybe $1,500. So I said, wait a minute, I better start learning something. And I think at that point, I met a guy on one of the forums, and I don't remember which one it was. And he was doing some free online classes. So that's where I got introduced to charts and candlesticks and support and resistance and trend lines. So I started learning a little bit here and there. And then, so
is
this
this
is,
still all 2010 though?
yeah, this is all
Okay.
2010.
Okay. Yep.
So, we started, my first trade was what,
Now
March
let me ask
24th.
so this what okay, online free classes.
Mhm.
So what was in it for him? Was he expecting you to like join some sort of group and then follow like his choices, or is this just totally
No, this
like
is totally, the guy was pretty cool.
okay.
I don't remember his name. Kind of reminded me a little bit of you, Clay.
Maybe maybe it was me.
No,
I don't
no, it
know.
wasn't you.
Yeah,
And,
that's probably he probably wasn't as good looking as me, I'm sure. That's probably the only
but
distinction.
no, there wasn't anything in it for him. He didn't have any website or wasn't selling anything. He just liked to teach people, and he hated seeing the new guys getting screwed by most of the guys that run most of those other those sites that were out there.
Well, props
So
to this person then, whoever you are, this mysterious person. Well done, sir.
yeah,
So you learn about trend lines and resistances and stuff like that.
mhm.
So I mean, where do things kind of go from here?
Okay, so we started getting pretty good with that, and then we started. He was big into the pinch plays back then, so we learned how to do the pinch plays. And my next,
The pincher, that thing's a classic setup right there.
yeah, yeah.
Did you have much success with it? Because
In the
it definitely
beginning,
puts you into stocks that are getting absolutely hammered. So
right.
it's a counter trend trade for sure. But I mean, if you can get a good one, I mean, they can provide some nice little moves. So how'd the pincher play trading go?
Well, it started out really good. The first one I ever did, and this was, May 3rd, so it was just like a month or so later of starting to learn all this. So I think it was EVXA, and all the charts, the moon and the stars aligned for this pinch to happen. So I got in, and I put in quite a bit. I think it was almost a $3,800 trade. I bought 500,000 shares,
Wow.
and I made
$3,800 into a penny stock. So all right.
yeah, and the worst thing that could happen happened. I made $3,100 in an hour.
I think I know why you said the worst possible thing that happened, but
Exactly.
that's an interesting statement. So let's go with it. So
Okay.
keep on chugging here because this is
Okay. So now I'm a professional, right? I've been doing this for 2 months, and I know this pinch play, and everything's just going to turn out like that. So I'm looking for these pinch plays, and I think the next one I might have made $219 on. And then I go back to a couple other ones, and the setups, it's setting up perfect just like all the other ones. And let's see, that was
Now, I think I kind of know where you're going with this, so I'm going to jump in here.
Sure.
Did your buddy at this point just go over anything regarding managing your risk or managing downside when things don't work out?
He did, and herein lies my problem with trading is I hate to lose. So even though people are telling you about risk management, when things start going bad for me, I I never cut my losses when I should, and that's even to this day.
Well, it
So
sounds like I think that being you're an entrepreneur yourself. I mean, by nature, by human nature, in order to succeed, you have to have the never give up, just axe to the grindstone. Just plow, chug, whatever you want to say. Just go, just go, just go. Don't give up. Work ethic. So it's definitely trading is, and Chez has talked about this many before, especially for someone like you, the entrepreneur, your brain is just not wired like that to have to be able to accept defeat, accept
right,
that, hey, I was wrong. I mean, somebody that like yourself, like I said, that's trying to grow a business, the last thing you want to admit or do is, hey, I was wrong. Maybe I screwed something up. I mean,
The
you want to
word
just,
no and failure is not even in your vocabulary,
yeah,
but in this game, even being, trading is a business. This is a business where you have to accept that you're wrong, and if you don't do it quickly, as it can be detrimental. But first off, kudos to you for recognizing that, because obviously that's kind of the first step in remedying an issue like that.
right. So what happens is the next one was maybe CLRH. I think I was into that one, and I wound up losing 1,700, which isn't terrible. And
no,
then
if you can make that 3,100 every now and then, 1,700 still not terrible, but
right,
I have a feeling that this might not be the last one. So,
it's not the last one. And then I just started, just doing a couple other support and resistance trades here and there, and I would win a few and I would lose a few. And then I started getting. I'm still in the penny stock world pretty heavy here, and then I started getting into the stories of these, some of these stocks. So then I started quit really day trading, and then I started holding these positions, and I was putting some big money into some of these positions. And then I would follow the story, and I'm reading the charts, right? And
well, let me. I want to get a distinction here.
okay,
Following the story, there can be two ways you can follow the story. There's one, you can understand what's actually going on with the story, and you can follow it. Um, plug, penny stock survival guide,
right.
or you can quote unquote follow the story. And by following the story, is you're just drinking that Kool-Aid and believing every little thing. So, which follow the story were you actually? Were you drinking that Kool-Aid?
I was drinking the Kool-Aid, even though in the back of my mind I knew what was happening. But
Which
then
just
I
goes to
would
show how powerful Kool-Aid actually is.
exactly, and greed, because
Yep, well
I
said.
I was blinded by greed big time. Um, one of the first one of the first tickers I got into was QSIGQ. You remember that one?
QS. Oh yeah, QSIG. Yeah, yep. QSIG, and then yeah, they threw that. Yep, totally remember that one.
So I bought into this one. I can't remember back when. I think it was maybe towards the end of 2010. So anyway, I wind up holding this thing for almost a year, right?
Oh wow.
But and here's where greed comes in. I I was getting a little smart with this one because I lost some money on a few back, you know, before. So I started, trading around and building a position. So anyway, I wound up buying into this. I don't know how much I had into it. I had maybe like $8,000 into it, and I sold half of it, or actually no, a quarter of it, and got all my money back. So I had like 75,000 free shares. So
Nice, nice.
no matter what happens, I'm not going to lose, right? So, come to find out, I should have just sold it all right then. The chart was screaming sell, but I'm still, drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm like drunk on Kool-Aid. So this thing, I was up $30,000 and I didn't sell.
Huh.
You
You
know,
know what? I'm not gonna lie. I'm not surprised. This isn't. This is just something that has to happen a lot of the time for people, unfortunately.
right? So I had $30,000 in my account, but I didn't push the button. And then I'm watching it go down, and then I'm thinking, oh, it's going to bounce from here. It's going to bounce from here. And, all the hype on the message boards. I finally got out with maybe an $800 profit.
From 30,000 down to $800. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That stings. But like Ches said, not totally shocked just because I was there once.
Hey, it applies the same for losses. It's not a loss until you sell it, and I guess it's not a gain unless you sell it either, Clay, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the crazy thing is, there's a such thing as unrealized loss, but there's those unrealized gains too that, well, I do want to give you some credit. At least you're smart enough to just get yourself onto free shares and sold some of them. So it's not like this was a
Right.
total train wreck.
Wasn't a total train wreck, but I'm going to say the first year of trading with the losses that I had, I think I was actually down maybe $10,000 for that year. So, it was a learning experience. So the second year, I didn't really trade.
That's your market tuition right there, $10,000. I mean that,
I wish that's all it was.
well, there first semester, okay,
Okay.
semester, I guess. Then
Okay.
so this is 2011. Then we're pretty much sitting at right now.
So this is the end of 2010.
Okay.
So 2011 comes along, and I don't trade a whole lot. I'm actually buying into these stories mostly. I'm doing a little bit of day trading here and there, and I'm winning, losing, a little bit even here. Win some, you lose some. Then I held on to another one, which was, PSPW, I think.
PSP. I think I vaguely might remember that
Yeah,
one.
some kind of mining company in South America. So I bought this. It was trading right around, I think I got in at 27 cents. And this thing, within a matter of a week or two, I think, went up to $2.18.
Oh, please, Dave, tell me you sold or did something to lock it, please.
No,
Just a little bit, something.
Yeah,
something
come on,
small,
man.
That's a
That's a
little effort.
27 cents above $2. I mean, come on, Dave. Let's go.
I didn't. I couldn't.
Oh, Dave.
I was so blinded by greed that
Oh,
I couldn't pull that button.
I don't think you were blinded. I think greed had you in like a chokehold or something and was like, no, man, you're not going anywhere.
It was awful. But I did sell for like a $5,000 profit at the end. But I was up. God, let me see what I had. I don't remember. It was substantial.
Like, are we talking over 30 grand like your other one?
Yes.
Okay.
I had 55,000 shares, but I think I sold some of that to get back to free shares. So I might have had 25,000 shares, which is still substantial.
Yeah, that was. I'm running some rough numbers in my mind right now. That you were up a whole lot of money compared to the $5,000 that you ended up getting away with. Isn't that amazing, Ches? Just how powerful greed actually is.
And the thing is, I'm new at this. I haven't been doing this but a couple months, and I'm doing this, not every day. It's when I'm not working, when work's slow, I jump in and do this.
I do think it's absolutely amazing because the most sane and PhD scholarship smartest person in the world, but that emotion of greed will completely make you have tunnel vision and neglect everything that you don't want to see and only focus on things that you want to see. It's ridiculous how powerful it can do to even the most educated person. It's just absolutely crazy.
It is. It's nuts. So, like I said, I can't remember how much. It was substantial, but I rode that all the way down too. But I finally got out with like a $5,000 profit on that one. And let's see. Day traded a few here and there. So I think at the end of that year, and I didn't really make that many trades because I was kind of just
playing longer term type things.
And playing longer term type things.
Yep.
So at the end of that year, I think I might have made a $3,500 profit.
All right. Hey, so you're green for the year. Now, I kind of want to fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
And I want to talk about the actual the marijuana boom in penny stocks that we had a couple years ago. Were you still in pennies at that point in time?
I was still in pennies, but I had some other before the penny stock boom started. I got into a couple other ones, and this is where your penny stock survival guide. When I watched that thing, I was just laughing my ass off because, I mean, that was me. There was a company, SAVW, Save Watt. They were actually in Baltimore. So when this whole thing is going on, they had some, building they were setting up, and I'm on the message board. I'm running down there taking pictures when I'm working down in the cities. Look, Save Watt, it's a real company, and, look, they're doing construction in the building, and I got all these people all hyped up.
But it was totally innocent on your part. I
It
mean,
was
it's not
innocent on
like
my,
you were, because some of these
sure,
people, it's not innocent. They know exactly what they're doing, and they're just,
completely innocent on my part because I still, I didn't know the whole ins and outs of the penny. I mean, I did, but I wasn't trying to get people to buy the
right.
stock.
I think what you knew was penny stocks are garbage, penny stocks are trash. But in this case, look, I got pictures. I'm seeing it with my own eyes. This one is actually not trash. This one's not garbage because I'm seeing it. So you had a reference point, but your reference point was still distorted because you were actually able to physically go and see and take pictures. So because the bar is set so low, hey, look, they're actually you know
I want to say that this is, good for you and it's completely uncommon that people actually do this. But I would be lying if somebody didn't take a picture of a storefront or something, or the VitaFizz or some drink that they make. That's it. It is real, and that can definitely serve in kind of blinding you, unfortunately, to the real nature of what's going to happen with these penny stocks.
Yeah, I do
Right.
want to make this note real quick to any of you out there that are listening and maybe in penny stocks or thinking about getting into penny stocks. Remember, if you don't watch, or just think about this, if you watch Shark Tank, then you'll know exactly what I mean. If you don't watch Shark Tank, maybe start watching it. Especially, no, not maybe, watch Shark Tank if you're in penny stocks or if you're thinking about getting into penny stocks. All those companies have a product or they have a service. But just because they do doesn't mean that it's any good or it doesn't justify anything. Just because you have a service or a product, a lot of those people get roasted. The investors who are some of the smartest people around, I mean, they just totally just devour these people because it's really a terrible business model or whatever. So that's pretty much, imagine a penny stock company going on to the Shark Tank. I mean, just ask that. Sure, they have a product, but that doesn't really mean that much. So I'll just leave it at that. But because it's funny. Oh, look, I can take pictures, and well, we're beating this dead horse. But yeah, just please, penny stock people, just because somebody has a product, that doesn't mean it's worth putting your kids' college tuition money into. So you're taking pictures, you're all fired up about it. Where does this whole kind of little story in your journey end?
Okay, so with this one, again, I was trading around a position. I had my share price down pretty low, so I was in a pretty decent profit. I think I might have been up 15, maybe $20,000
Oh
into
my
this
goodness,
stock.
you've had some big old gains.
And and then this is right when I can't remember when, but I remember riding down. I had my laptop with me, and they were having a grand opening or something, and all the penny stock investor guys were coming in. So of course I went down. They had guys from New York coming down, and it was almost to the close of the I don't know, it was probably like 350 or something. And this is the day of the opening of the company, the grand opening of the new building down in Baltimore. They diluted I don't know how many shares into this stock.
Well, they got to pay for that building. I mean, come on
Exactly.
now.
So I was lucky. I had my laptop with me, and it was on, and I see the share price falling, so I just hit the sell button. And I think from being up close to 20 grand in that one, I think I might have got out with a $6,000 profit.
I want to actually commend you though for not freezing on the spot, because that's something that's super common, because a lot of people will go into disbelief. So
Right.
kudos to you. I generally never advocate for kind of quick reactions, but in this case, seeing that what was happening, yeah, you completely did the right thing. But man, like
Well,
Clay said,
for
you have
me, it's
seen
not the
some
first time.
gains.
So I started I was up quite a bit in a few of these other stocks, and I wrote them all the way down to almost nothing. So now I'm starting to get a little bit wiser. So I just hit the button, and we went down there, and it was. I don't even think after the grand opening, I don't know what happened. I didn't after I sold. I just kind of left and moved on. Found another one to get into, and just got into that story as well. and that was they sold pet products or pet AAPT, I think it was.
Oh yeah. I do remember that. Yeah, that sounds like a winner.
Yeah, so I was big time into that one because I have boxers, I work with my dogs in rally and obedience training. So they had this NutriBar, I think it was called. So I was big time into that. I had my dogs posing with the NutriBars, you know, all kind of shit. They did a little commercial. My dog was in it, and
Are you
again,
serious? Wait, your dogs were in a penny stock company's commercial?
absolutely, yeah,
Oh man, you
pretty
were
cool.
big into this stuff.
Famous
But
movie star right here that we're interviewing right
Wow.
now.
so that's
So now we've had somebody that's officially worked for a penny stock company when we talked with Tony a few episodes back, and now we have somebody that's pets were in a penny stock commercial. That's Chaz, man. We're getting everything now. This is crazy.
it's pretty crazy. So in this one
So
again.
now, how did they pay you for that? Did they give you
Oh
shares
no,
or?
I didn't get paid at all. It was
Oh,
just
you just volunteered.
I
Okay,
just
gotcha.
volunteered. It was a cool thing. I mean, it was just they had a little commercial, and at the end, my dog was standing there with the NutriBar in the wrapper in his mouth. So it was just a picture at the end of a little online commercial or something. But anyway, these things went into Walmart, and I'm thinking, man, if Walmart's selling them, this has got to be crazy. It's going to $1 for sure, right? So I don't know. Anyway, I was in quite a bit. To that one, I was probably up close to $40,000, and I didn't sell, especially since now they went into Walmart, right?
Dave,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wound up
my
losing.
eyes starting to twitch over here, Dave.
I know.
When the thing tanked, and the whole time I'm looking at the charts, and I can read charts a little bit by then, and the thing is just screaming sell, and I didn't, just because I was so drunk on Kool-Aid and blinded by greed. I probably lost maybe $5,000 in that one.
So you didn't even sell for a profit for that
No,
one.
I rode that one all the way down.
Wow, this is
I think at this point, I'm thinking, this penny stock stuff, this is just something's got to give. And I've seen and how I ran into you is, on these message boards. I think the actual first one I ever ran into was in the QSIG. You came in and did a little video, and everybody in that message board in iHub was just screaming, "Oh my God, Clay's here! The stock's going to tank."
because man, I run a penny stock shorting group. Didn't you know
Exactly.
that?
And I'm thinking to
We're based in
myself,
Somalia.
I'm watching this little 1 or 2 minute video, and you're doing your thing, you're supporting resistance and this and that, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And damn if the stock didn't tank. And I'm like, there's no way this guy has this much power that he can tank this stock. I don't know what these other guys are talking about.
Bless your heart for having a little bit of common sense.
Yeah,
Good
I mean,
work.
because I've been in this for a little bit now, and it's always the market makers are holding it down, this and that. It's all just crap, it's horrible. So anyway, to fast forward again, after I kind of lost the money in that AAPT, I think it was, I had to just try something different, and that's
What now? You said you had mentioned you took the penny stock survival guide. So where exactly? When did that actually happen? So you saw me on QSIG,
well,
and then
that was way back when. So that was my
wait. So you took penny stock survival guide, and then you still kept drinking
Oh
the
no,
Kool-Aid
no,
for the.
no! I'm jumping around here.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
Back-
Dave, shame
yeah,
on me
no,
for not scaring you enough in penny stock survival. Okay, that makes me feel a lot better because
Yeah,
for a
back
second there, I thought
then
I totally
that
failed you.
was my first introduction to you, and then
Okay.
I started watching your videos on some of the other stocks that I was in, and I liked the videos. And at this point, I'm done with the long term investing, and I think I took like a year off, and but I was still on iHub every night, reading this and reading that. And when you were talking about the marijuana boom,
Yep.
I was so like just gun shy and burned out. I missed that whole boom. I didn't trade. I didn't
That's
trade one of those stocks.
No, I missed it too. That was the problem with any of those bubbles is when you know how bad it can be and when you actually understand the market, you never think that what's going to happen actually happened. Like I never would have imagined that those penny stocks would have boomed like they did because I've been around long enough where I'm like, no, that just doesn't happen. But it actually did happen. But the problem is
In
the
front of
people
my eyes, and I didn't pull the trigger once.
yeah, no, same with me, and same with anybody that's experienced is people are like, this is not it's gonna fall, it's gonna fall, it's gonna fall, and they just kept going up and kept going up, and it's like that's why it was just literally a once in a decade type thing. But yeah, and that's where all this the problem is for the new people that were experiencing all that. They didn't have any frame of reference, so they were just like, "Oh my, penny stocks are And people like Dave and I are like, no, this is definitely not the norm." And those are the same people that wrote it down, and very few of them are now left around. So you pretty much got into penny stocks too early to even be able to take advantage of the marijuana stock boom, which, like I said, I was right there with you. I was way too early, so I knew what could happen. And we were both wrong, right? I mean, we thought that could never happen, and it actually happened. So we were both wrong, but our perspective, we just had too much experience at that point to actually think that something like that could happen. So, so you missed out on all that. Let's get to kind of where are you kind of at right now. I mean, when did you finally? I know you're a ClayTrader University member, but when did you really start to kind of, you know what? This Clay guy, I want to try to get involved more with his community. So where exactly did that kind of fall into place within the journey of things?
Yeah, actually, I was. I think I joined with a $99 special, so I was like one of the first 300. I think one of the Spartans.
Wait, you paid? Did you get lifetime membership?
Yep.
For 300 for the 99?
Yep.
Oh my! I didn't know we were talking with one of the original 300 here, Chuz.
Yeah.
Not only is he famous and in a commercial, he's one of the first 300.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, the day I joined, I think
bless
it
your
was
heart, because the site back then looked like a child created it. So for you to have signed up, thank you, man. That's like the ultimate compliment, because that site was not very. I mean, it wasn't like terrible looking, but I'd like to think
for $99,
yeah,
that's nothing. Why? And like I said, I've been watching your videos and seeing you on iHub. So
you've literally seen the site grow from first 300. So you've been wow. I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity right now, Chaz, because there's not
you are
a whole lot
talking
of,
to a celebrity.
That's true. His dogs are in a commercial. I forgot about that. So, well, all right. So you got in, and I mean, walk us through kind of how all that went, because you've been in since ground level as far as when I started the site and everything.
I've been in since ground level. So then I bought. When I bought that $99 special, it was like January 9th. And then I bought robotic trading and trampoline trading at the end of January. And, I learned quite a bit. I thought I knew enough, to be dangerous just from learning from this other guy. But, robotic trading and trampoline trading, and, they started all putting it together. And then I think I didn't join CTU until September 5th of last year. No.
Sometime within the last several months, though.
I think the important part is that you were still a part of the community, and you still kind of realized that the more education you got, the hopefully the better you would be managing these trades in the future.
Right. So by that time I was pretty much done with the penny stocks. And then when I watched the Penny Stock Survival Guide, I mean, that was the nail in the coffin for me. After watching that, I haven't been back on iHub. I haven't even looked at a penny stock. And
is that because? Why is that? I mean, because the course is not intended to get people not to trade penny stocks. It's intended just to make sure people understand what's actually going on within the market. So.
A couple of things. The penny stock market, and I'm not sure what it's like now, but then it was pretty dry. I mean, it wasn't like it was back then, back in the 2010 when I got in. It dried up, and I think most people were moving to options.
Yeah. Okay. So it wasn't like the course scared you away. You're just like, there's just not, since you had a much better understanding of volume and liquidity. And the penny stock market, and depending on when you listen to this as a listener, it may be different, but at this point in time, my position, and I think I feel pretty strongly in it, is ever since the bubble popped of the marijuana boom, the penny stock market has not been like it's bad. It is really sad, because even when you got in 2010, like you said, 27 cents to over $2. This dog food one, you're up. I mean, the penny stock market it was respectable. It was actually extremely. I mean, there are some really good plays out there that could be had, assuming you understood the market. But right now,
I've watched some plays that would go 1,000% in a day. Of course, they would come right back down, but still,
right?
There's a lot of money.
There was movement, there was volatility and volume. You could trade it then. Don't get me wrong, but when it's dry and not going anywhere, there's nothing to really do.
Right.
So where are you actually at right now? Are you trading stocks? Are you trading options?
Right
What
now,
where
I once the option simplified came out, I just devoured that, and I've been trading options ever since.
Okay, so you are in options right now. And I guess with that, do you have any sort of strategies, or I mean, what's kind of your go-to setup or strategy, or whatever you want to? What have you been doing lately? I guess that's been
I trade.
kind of your focal point.
I like to trade cliff points a lot.
Okay,
Um,
nice.
and I trade, around the 8 SMA a lot. Especially when the 8 will cross above or below the 50, I'll jump in there, and it's whatever looks good. But it's basically the cliff points are that, and the moving average crossovers is pretty much what I trade. Um,
Okay, nice. What's actually tell us about your chart? I like to ask this because I think a lot of people out there they think that charts are complicated and you need to have like 80 different indicators and 55 different overlays and then you
but
have
when I first started, my chart was so cluttered I couldn't hardly see the candlesticks. You
That's a completely common thing.
Yep.
Most
and this
people
was
do
this
that when they learn and go, "Whoa, there's all these things. They're gonna be
right.
magical predictors of price."
Exactly. But right now I have the Bollinger Band on there. I have the 8, the 50, and the 13, and that's pretty much what I use.
And then candlesticks and volume, right? Those are the
Yes,
other
yes,
indicators you have. So
absolutely.
MACD, RSI, nothing like that.
I have a MACD at the bottom. I look at it, but I don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. I'm basically trading support and resistance.
I'm right there with you. I do have the MACD, but I it's kind of more there just for decoration, I guess, because it
Right.
really
I have
does.
a slow stochastic on there too. But
It's there to make you feel like you're a robot or flying an airplane or
Yeah,
something.
it's
exactly.
there for like the Matrix effect, I think.
Right.
Right.
So obviously a really important question, Dave, and something that really kind of shows how far people have come from the beginning until where they're at currently in their trading is, how does your mind and your just kind of general attitude towards losers, how has it changed, from the beginning when you were first trading with kind of a lack of knowledge and really having a ton of greed to how does taking a loser for you now kind of go?
Well, herein lies my problem is I still hate to lose, and my risk management sucks. Um, I'm trying to get better at it. This year I started trading just one or two contracts, smaller, maybe $200 or $300 at the most.
Nice.
Because last year I started pretty much traded the whole year, not every day, of course. I did. Let me see. Go back here real quick.
You came prepared. You came with. I get the impression you got your whole brokerage statements out for us.
No, I have a spreadsheet. And I keep a
Oh,
spreadsheet of
nice.
everything that I do. So last year I did 201 trades. 116 were winning trades. 85 were losing trades. Out of
Nice.
those 85, five were pretty big, which caused me to have a losing year last year.
Wow, that's the
I
interesting
actually
stat.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have an over 50% win ratio, which first off, the argument has always been, oh, buying or selling stocks is as good as you can guess, flipping a coin. But you could see right there, you actually won more trades. Technically, I'm using the word won in a not
Profit,
normal
yeah.
way, right? But you still were right on a year. So I mean, if that isn't a case for risk management focus in trading, I don't know what is, because that's exactly what that shows you.
Right.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we preach that boring stuff around the community
And the
instead
thing
of.
is, I know better. The RVR videos were great, and I recommend everybody watch them after robotic trading. But for me, I mean, you can lead a man to knowledge, but you can't make him think. You know,
Yeah.
it's yeah. I don't know why I do what I do. As a matter of fact, I watched last week's webinar this morning, or this week's webinar this morning. How you were having your stops so tight,
Oh, yep, yep.
which this morning I made a couple trades. I was up on Netflix, so I was up 165 bucks by keeping my my stops really close, and I think that's what I'm going to do from now on.
So you
And
like the tights because yeah,
I
just a little
like the
reference
tight
point.
stops
Yeah, a little
because a lot
reference.
of I use mental stops, and sometimes especially when I was trading larger, three, four, $5,000 in an option, and they move quick, both directions. So when my support would get broken, and then I'd start losing more than I'd care to, but then I'd look down and there might be another support level or the
Yep.
MA or something, the 50 might be right there, so I'm thinking it'll bounce there. And that's where I started losing.
I think I do that impression in my webinars once in a while where your mind just starts to justify it like,
It
oh,
does.
hey, look there. Okay, yeah, I'll do this. And it's amazing when you can read a chart. It's a catch 22 in the sense of your mind can all of a sudden justify breaking rules because you notice, oh, wait, there's something else there, but that something else never had anything to do with the original trade plan. So
Right. And
it's,
I have a bad habit too of trading what I think is going to happen instead of what I actually see happening.
well, welcome to the club there.
Case in point, Netflix on Monday, it had a pretty good size gap down, right? And then the next is the first candle, the next candle still put in a lower high. So I jumped in there with a put. And then the market's down 150 points or something. Then it starts going down lower. But at the same time, it was still above the 8 SMA and the 50 SMA. But I'm thinking, man, it gapped down, Bear River. And, the market's tanking at one point, and I had a mental stop loss. It went through that, but I'm thinking, man, the markets just keep going down. This thing's got to roll over eventually. And it didn't. It kept going up.
Yep.
So I got out with like a $280 loss.
When if you had, so today you said you're doing well on Netflix. Are you putting in hardline stops or are these still mental stops?
With me, they're just mental stops for me. Especially I use TDA now with. It's just a pain in the ass to put hardline stops on there, especially with some of the gaps. With the spreads.
Right.
What I really think is what comes through though, and it's not specific to your trading, it's just trading in general. It's amazing how your view on a ticker will change the minute you have a position on. Once you have your money on the line, it's like your focus for, instead of looking for red flags, you're looking for green lights. Any green light that's going to give you some hope.
That's
It's
true.
how it always is.
Yeah, that's great. I don't think we've ever, Ches, why is it taking you to episode whatever this is to say that, huh? I don't think you've ever said that, but that's so true.
I save those little bits of knowledge to sprinkle in, every 50 episodes or so.
Yeah. The sprinkler of golden nuggets. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah. But so I know it might be a pain, but I don't know, man. I think you might want to at least try or do whatever you're doing today with the tight stops. It sounds like it's working out with you. So I'm glad you pulled some information from the webinar.
Right.
But yeah, it's one of those things where you say, yeah, if I would have taken my loss then before thinking, oh, it's got to roll over, and before you know it, let me ask this, what would your loss have been if you had just gotten out when you're supposed to rather than taking the $280 loss or whatever you said that was?
I'm going to guess it would have been under $50 probably.
Oh, so a super small loss, but
yeah.
then the games, you see that, and
yeah, because as soon as I bought, it took off, and I should have just as soon as it went higher than that candle, I should have just got out.
Yeah, just be like, all right, I was wrong.
But I'm looking at other, at that point the market was down 200 points, and then it's each candle it's going up. At one point it was down like 300 and I don't know 70 some points or something. The Dow was. But yet Netflix that kept going up. I'm
right.
thinking,
Well,
man,
like Chess said, you were looking for any little glimmer of hope, and your glimmer of hope was you latched onto the overall market when
right, and you can't
Netflix just didn't care about the overall market.
Yeah, you have to trade what the chart is telling you, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for sharing those numbers because that's perfect. $40 loss under 50, but because he started to just go off the tracks, ended up turning into over $200 loss. So.
Right. And I'll go back here and see what it was. I didn't have a whole lot into it. I might have had $350. Anyway, it turned out to be like a 70% loss, which is crazy, from whatever I had in there. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
It is, yeah, it is crazy when especially it becomes even crazier when you just consider, oh crap, if I had just taken the loss when I knew I should have, then it would have been not 70%. So,
And the good
Yeah,
old cheap shot conundrum too will get you because the time you obey your stops and you get
when it
stopped out by a couple pennies or something, and then it goes back in your favor. Your brain is now going to go, "Oh, I knew I should have held it," but then don't forget, more often than not, when it goes against you, it's just going to keep going against you, and that torture chamber
yeah, exactly.
becomes real quick.
yeah, on that note, link or Ches, why don't we link the live trade video I just did, right? You know which one I'm talking about where I took the losses, but it
Yep.
was actually a super good loss because the thing, if I wouldn't have gotten out, I would have been screwed. So yeah, why don't we link that in the show notes just so people can see exactly what you just talked about there.
Yeah, so that was actually, I'm looking at it now. I had $890 into it, and I took a 31% loss.
Okay,
So
so
with fees and all, it was $281.
yeah, so I guess moral of the story there, follow your rules. Well, man, I mean, we're like beating you up, you're beating yourself up with but I mean, what are some things that you're doing well and that you're confident in? So what are some of these strengths that you'd say you have?
The only thing at this
Come
point
on, Dave.
where
You're
I'm
making it
doing
sound like you
well,
don't do anything right. You've been doing plenty of things right. This long pause nonsense. Don't.
it's I find good entry points. Um, I don't know. I can find good setups. I get in some good entry points. But the real killer for me is I don't get out when I should.
And that's I would say is a huge stumbling block for a lot of people is, man, I can never get a good entry point. But you have that done. You have that down. It's just a
Hmm.
matter of freaking, managing the trade. A lot of people, because I mean, it's like real estate. The saying in real estate, which is totally true. You don't make money when you sell. You make money when you buy.
Right.
Same with trading. I mean, if you get a bad entry point, that just screws everything up. But you've really crossed a major hurdle in that. You just got to work on the fine tuning of
Yeah.
just following the rules. So
Well, the
don't be too
one
hard on
major
yourself.
major hurdle for me was greed. I mean, because back in the penny stock thing, I mean, I just blinded you.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
I
was
could have made so much money, had I just pulled the trigger, and I didn't. And it wasn't just one time; it was 3 or 4 times, or maybe more. I don't know, where I had substantial gains and let them all go down to almost nothing or lose money.
well, it is what it is at this point in time.
Right. So
We'll ask a couple more questions as I'm looking down at the clock and this thing. Where does the time gone? But given you're self-employed and you do have a full-time job,
mhm.
so and a lot of people listening, I think, fall in that same scenario. So walk us through, what's actually your routine? Like, how do you fit trading into a normal work day? How do you make that work for you?
well, for being self-employed, some especially in the wintertime, my work is kind of seasonal. So in the wintertime, I'm a bit slow, so I have a little bit more time to trade than I do in the summertime. But I usually try and trade, a little bit in the morning, and then if I have to go out and do a job or a sales call, I'll go out and do that. And then if I get home early enough in the afternoon, I'll try and throw in another trade. And sometimes you try and force trades, and that's another issue. Since you don't have a whole lot of time to trade, you try and force things, and that's not a good thing either. Sometimes it's best just not to do anything.
Yep, and that's the more time you have kind of the seat, the easier it becomes to recognize when things are not ideal, and you
R-
can kind of almost see yourself trying to make something out of nothing. But yeah, that can definitely happen, especially with kind of a time restraint. Now, I've definitely loosened up my criteria for how I lend out this machine, so I'm gonna leave it pretty open for you, Dave. If I was to lend you this time machine. You get to pick at what point you want to go back and kind of talk to yourself. What would be the one piece of advice you would give yourself?
The one piece of advice I would give if I went back to the beginning was learn education. Learn just don't dive in because the market will eat you up. Learn, and when you think you know, learn some more because you don't know.
I like that. There's so many people that that you can tell they're riding high because they just scored a victory, and that's why I loved it when you said, I made $3,100 in an hour, but that was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Oh man, has that happened to so many people out there, myself included? You get on a little win streak, you have one big win, and all of a sudden, I'm a professional. This
That
person
reminds
telling me
me of
that this Dave guy just said that after I know it all, that I still should go learn some more. Screw that guy. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, they're just going to have to learn the hard way, because when you're riding high, when you're feeling cloud nine is a bad place to be in the market, because I
It
mean the last thing
absolutely
you
is.
want to hear is learn more even when you're on cloud nine.
And that
Right.
that totally ties into Curtis's podcast as well, where he said, paper trade until you're absolutely sick of it, and then when you're completely sick of it, paper trade some more. So you nailed it there.
Yep,
Yeah, I
yep.
agree. I never did much paper trading. I still don't. I guess I should. But for me, I mean, when I do paper trade, I mean, you knock it out of the park. But when you put real money on the line, I don't know what happens, but you start looking at things differently.
It's that big old brain we got that gets in the way.
Exactly.
Well, I will say you're doing it right, though. I mean, at least you're not saying, yeah, so I'm trading 15 contracts. I mean, you're keeping it small, so
Yeah.
that's a good
Well,
way
at
to.
this point, I have to keep it small because now my account's pretty small. If I had the amount of money that I started with back in 2010, things would be so much different now. You know,
That's straight out of hindsight.com though, my
it
friend.
is.
So, if you work on those good principles, you can snowball that account real easily.
Nope, you can. I mean, it's so much easier trading, a larger sum of money than, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
No, I know what you're saying. It's, if you only got $100 and you want to make $100, well, you need to make 100% on your money.
Yeah, and
If
that's
you,
hard to do. But if you
yeah,
have $5,000 and you want to make 2%, that's nothing wrong with that.
yeah. I mean, if you want to make $100 and you got 10,000, then you only have to make 1%. So
right, and
yeah,
it's much easier making 1% than it is even 20%.
exactly. But yeah, I mean, from the way you talk, and I mean, you're definitely on the right path now, and you're not. Just please never tell me again that if you see you're up $25,000 in something, at least take some profits off the table. Please. That's all
Or
I'll
send
ask.
me an
Trust me,
email
if,
with your
if
login and I'll do it for you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
if
Yeah.
that were ever to happen again, for sure, no problem taking profits off the top.
Yep.
I'll
But
tell
the
you
thing,
one thing, back when I was options last year in October, I had quite a bit of money. I think maybe I had $5,000 into an options call, and I had my sale order in, and it was probably my best trade since that won $3,100. I made $3,800 on this options call, but I got stopped out before I could move the sale order up. The damn thing ran to, I think I was in at 96 cents. The damn thing ran to $4 by the end of the day in like 2 hours. It would have been a $30,000 profit in an option.
hindsighttrader.com.
Yeah, I know.
That's
And that's one other thing because I don't remember how many contracts I had, but they were all in the. I didn't scale out. They were all on that sale order, and it just moved so quick I couldn't cancel the sale order before it got filled.
and that's just
That's
that's
the way
just
it goes
is what it
sometimes.
is. Yep.
Yeah.
So
Anybody?
all right, man. Well, we've been through a lot here. I mean, from huge losses or huge gains to losses to now hearing about options and stuff. But let's move into some fun questions as we start to wrap this shebang up, because I don't know where the time went, but it flew by.
It
But
did, man.
yeah, and you said you were a little nervous before. I mean, this wasn't too bad, was it?
That wasn't too bad. Better than I thought.
Yeah. See, so for those people out there that are a little hesitant, oh, I don't know, I'm gonna. It's really Ches and I. We're halfway decent human beings. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
it's just kind of hard telling people that you're so damn greedy that you lose a ton of money.
Well,
know,
You know what? I
But
bet you
it's
though,
helpful,
when we sign off this podcast, you will feel better about talking about it. And if anything, it might actually help you really kind of recognize the next time that evil voice of greed comes out, you might think about like, I remember talking to Clay and Ches about this and how I said I wouldn't let this $25,000 go back down to $6,000.
Right.
And plus, I mean, there will be at least one person out there that says, man, I'm up $25,000. I remember that Dave guy. What a greedy guy that guy was. I don't want to be like Dave. I'm going to take profits. So you will have made somebody some money. You will have helped better somebody by just being honest about things. So
I'm telling you, sell it because there will be another opportunity around the corner.
yep. So
You
yeah,
know?
that's exactly. So, well, what is your favorite movie?
I knew you were going to ask this.
So you better be ready. You better be ready if you knew it was coming.
I like I like westerns. I like all types of movies. One of my favorites, or two of my favorites, would be Tombstone and Open Range.
Open Range. Is that with Kevin Costner?
Yes, yes, one of
I've
the
never
best.
seen that one. But
Oh, you got to watch it.
Tombstone is like you're like the fourth or fifth person.
I was going to
say
say,
that
it's
movie.
like the most popular movie we've had as of recently. Everybody seems to be naming that one.
Yeah,
Tombstone's a good movie. But if go watch Open Range, you'll really like it. One of the best running gunfight battles I've ever seen.
all right. I'm going to jot that down for my wife and I's movie list. Ches, you're up next.
So, Dave, what would you say is your favorite meal and dessert?
Oh, steak and potatoes.
America.
Yeah, America.
Or Baltimore in your case, which by the way, that's where I got when we did a meet and greet in Baltimore, and I got to see where the national anthem was written in by Francis Scott Key. So that was I went up on Federal Hill there. Francis Scott Key, yeah. So yeah, very cool. Little historic era you're from.
Yeah,
so,
I'm a little bit north of Baltimore, which is in Harford County. It's almost into Pennsylvania, into southern Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Be that as it may, it's still Baltimore because nobody knows where Forest Hill is.
What is your favorite hobbies, though? I mean, what do you like to do for fun outside of tinning windows and the market?
I like to fish. There's a couple reservoirs up here, so I'm a big bass fisherman. I like to hunt, deer hunt, and also like working with my dogs. I have 2 boxers that I work in rally and obedience training.
Those dogs are famous. Are those the famous dogs?
Actually, Mac, yeah, he is one of the. I'll see if I can dig up a picture and post it on the forum for you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great. Could you get? I'd like an autograph too. So if you could get him to like, I don't know.
Real question I have is, can you get my dog into some commercials and movies? I know you got all the hookups now, right?
Yeah, that's true. Ches has got a dog, so
yeah, I don't. Is that company even still around? I doubt it.
Yeah, who knows? Probably not.
They're around. They're not in pet products anymore. They've reverse merged and done enough things, so they're probably doing.
They've changed names 7 times already too. Yeah.
Yep.
But what would you say are 3 words you believe are associated with successful traders?
It's kind of hard for me. I don't really consider myself a successful trader yet. But I can for sure tell you what'll make a bad trader and what'll kill you. And number
All right.
one.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's flip it up. What are 3 words that would make you a bad trader? I like that a lot.
Number 1 would be greed. Number 2 would be lack of knowledge. And number 3 would be lack of discipline.
So knowledgeless, disciplinelessness, and then greed. That's
greed.
Well said. So, that yeah, I was going to say, but no, we're right about the hour. So, Dave, thank you again for taking time out of your day, especially knowing that you are an entrepreneur and run your own thing. So, thanks for making time for us.
Sure, not a problem. Enjoyed it. Glad to be here.
Good. And I'm no doubt about it. There are definitely some good bits of wisdom here. So we thank you for just being honest and transparent. For those of you that are listening, like for you to do a few things. They're very basic and very helpful. So first is, if you're listening to this on our website, click that share button, leave us a comment. We read them all, and we appreciate little clicks of the mouse like that. If you're listening to this on iTunes or any of the other podcast players, please leave us a rating and just let us know what you think. That way more people can kind of know about and just take note of what we're doing here. And so if you think it's worthwhile and you think it'd help others, leaving a rating really does go a long way. So with that being said, thank you again for hanging out, and we will see you back for the next episode.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the ClayTrader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit ClayTrader.com.